Well, folks, here again for the weekly forecast. During this last week, of course, we had a very active pattern during the midweek period as we had that upper air low out in the central Rockies slowly migrate eastward. And as energy pivoted around that system, of course, we had thunderstorms development on almost a daily basis. The heaviest precipitation for this past week occurred from essentially central Nebraska, east-northeastward through the Omaha metropolitan area. Numerous locations reported well over 5 inches during this entire storm event, with a couple of locations around York pushing well over 7 inches. In the southeastern, extreme southeastern part of the state, precipitation totals were not nearly as robust as we would want. This is the area that has seen an upgrade to moderate drought conditions due to the lack of moisture during the July through mid-August period. So even though we had rainfall, we would expect that the improvements in this region will be a little bit slower, a couple more rain events, and we may see the elimination of those events. So let's take a look and see what the upper air models are going to bring us for this week. And for today, the first system that was responsible for our precipitation has weakened and has moved out through the Great Lakes region. In its wake, we see a little brief ridging. So for today, we're looking at fairly nice conditions across the state. And for the opening of the Husker football, looks to be temperatures somewhere in the low to mid 80-degree range, so very nice conditions. We have another trough that's going to start working its way toward our region, may generate some thunderstorm activity during the late evening, overnight hours across western Nebraska. But more importantly, as this trough pushes eastward, we could see the development of severe weather across the eastern half of Nebraska and all of Iowa as we go into tomorrow afternoon. That will generate the possibility of upwards of a couple inches of moisture across eastern Nebraska. Most locations probably looking at a half an inch, and then that system will pass to the east of us, and on Monday we'll get a temporary reprieve, a little bit cooler conditions, but most of the energy will remain to our north. And as we get into Tuesday, we'll see that that trough starts to move toward the Great Lakes, and there is a chance it will develop on the southern periphery of this trough some thunderstorm activity, particularly from north central Nebraska southeastward into extreme southeastern Nebraska and points eastward. Now as we go into Wednesday, we start to see a flattening out of the ridge, so any thunderstorm development that occurs will be in the western part of the state as it picks up some of this monsoon moisture. Very little chance across eastern Nebraska, at least on Wednesday, and we will start to see warmer temperatures move into our region, more back to normal to above normal across the entire state. On Thursday, the ridge builds in a little bit more aggressively, so once again the monsoon moisture will target western and northern Nebraska with less of a chance across southern Nebraska. And on Friday, we start to see a southwest flow off, and that's going to bring monsoon moisture in along with this trough. We'll start to see another wet pattern developing as we go into the late weekend and the early part of the following week. So if we look at the temperature forecast, we're going to remain cool here in the early part of the week, and then we'll start to see that warm up with increasing chances of thunderstorm activity, particularly eastern Nebraska. 8 to 14-day forecast keeps the warm temperatures in place, and precipitation tends to be above normal.